Members, you're most welcome again. In the previous video, we looked at different types of functions, and we are still continuing with other functions, and today we are going to start with the if function. And if function, first of all, is you need to know that this is a if function. It's a very powerful Excel tool which can help us to perform logical text and calculation. Normally, when you think of if function, you need to think of something called logical. You need to think of something called logical. At the same time, you need to think of calculations. So why am I saying these two? Because the if function helps us to come up with logical calculations. So it has three parts. The first one is logical test. Then this one helps to evaluate if a statement is true or false. And then if the test is true, then the value tested, and the value, then it gives a value. But if the test is false, then you can also get a message showing that, or you can go ahead and execute the second function in the loop. So we can use the if function to control the flow of worksheets by creating conditional statements and returning different values depending on the outcome. Yeah, so that's how we do, and we're going to look at different way we can use the if function. So in this case, we are going to create some numbers. We are going to generate numbers, and then we see how we can use them. So here I'm going to say this is column B, where I will say this is say I will represent this with the name Alex. Then I will say this is Sam. Then I will say Sam is 45, and Alex 45 and Sam is 56. So I'm going to use an if function to determine if Alex is older than Sam. Then I should get the statement as a true, whereas if it's not, then I'll get false. So here I'm going to say I'm going to test the what? Testing the what? The condition. So in this box, I said in Microsoft Excel, anytime you think of a calculation, you have to start with equal sign. So I'm going to type equal sign, then I say if. So from there, I'm going to start my logical test, and in this case I will test the value of 45, but I will not use 45 as a natural value. Instead, I will choose what we call the cell reference. A cell reference, that is the value that the name of the box where 45 lies. So in this case, it's going to be B8. So I will say B8. So when I type B8, now you see the cell is highlighted, meaning I've already selected the value within that cell. So I will say if B8 is greater than, so I use greater sign. The reason why I use greater sign is because whenever you are dealing with the logical values or if function, the type of operators we use, we have the greater sign, greater than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater or equal, not equal to, less or equal. So those are the type of the operators that we work with. Those are the type of operators that we shall be using. So in this case, I'm going to say if values for Sam, for Alex, which is 45, is greater than the one of Sam, so for Sam is going to be C8. So I'll type C8, then comma, I will say open quotes, then I will say Alex is good. We are trying to test if Alex is good, and then or else, comma, open quote, then say not good, not good. Then after when I'm done, I have to close what the bracket. So I'm going to close the bracket, and then after I go ahead and click enter, either on the keyboard or on my Microsoft Excel worksheet. There's a symbol that represents enter. So when I click on that, I will see the word not good. Why am I seeing this word not good? It's because according to my function, or according to my logical test, I was testing to see if Alex is older than Sam. But if you have to see, Alex is 45, whereas Sam is 56. So in this case, it is a false, meaning this one, Alex is not greater. So that's why I see not good. But what if I change this value and I say Alex is 67? So when I say Alex is 67, then I press enter, I see Alex is good. Wow, this means that my function is working. This function tests whether Alex is greater than Sam. If the result is true, then it returns Alex is good. Whereas if it's not true, it returns Alex is not good. So let's go ahead and type another value for Sam, maybe 80. Sam is 80. So when I change the dates for Sam to be 80, I still get a different result as not good, because now you see Alex now has gone behind Sam in terms of ages. So normally that's how we use the if function. So normally we use if function to test if condition is true, or else if it's not true, then we get also to know that what you are trying to test is not true. So what about if we have another condition where we have more than two if, and we are trying to see how we can manipulate the data. For example, we have a certain class of mathematics, and this class have been performed by students in different way. So I'm going to first delete this, then I will create a class for math. And then I'll give I'll represent this as names of students. So A is Alex, B is Baraka, C is Charles, D is David, and J is Jane. So now here Alex got 56, and then Baraka got 78, this one got 45, this one got 90, and the other one got 24. So now in this case I want to grade them. So I'm going to get the grade. Then I'm also going to get the remarks. I'm going to get the remarks. Yeah, I'm going to assign the grade and then the remarks. Like grading is going to be like D1, D2 up to F9. So but I will be assigning the grade accordingly. Like anyone who got below, above 75, I will give a distinction 1, and so on and so on. So we are going to see. So in this case, I'm still going to use an if function. So what I'm going to do, I will type equal sign, then I say if, then I open a logical test 1, and that is going to be B8. So I say B8, then I say if B8 is greater than 75, then comma, I'll give the person distinction 1. So now you can see, first of all, my function, I start with equal sign. Then I have the name of the function, which is an if function. Then I open the parentheses. Then I start the logical test one, which is asking me, like I'm trying to ask my function or my algorithm to test whether B8 is greater than 75. If it is true, then it should assign the person distinction 1. Or else, if it is false, now, if it is false, then because I still have other values to calculate, like from D1 to F9, then I have to start another if function and I have to start another test. So I say if it is false, then I will say if I open the bracket, then I start another logical test, which is B8. If B8 again is greater than, if B8 is greater than, in this case I'm going to say 70, comma, then I will open the code and say D2. I'll give the person distinction 2, then I say that, I say comma. Then I say if B8 again is greater than, so in this case I'm going to say it's going to be 65. It's greater than 65, comma, I open the code and say this is C3, close quotes, comma, then I start another if function. I open and say B8 is greater than 60, then, says greater than 60, comma, I open quotation, and that's going to be, I'm going to assign the person credit 4, then close quote, then say if, open quotes, then I say if for B8, if B8 is greater than, if B8 is greater than, there was 60, then this one is going to be 55, then I say comma, open quotes, then I say credit 5, close quotes, then comma, then I say if, open bracket, then I say if B8 again, if B8 is greater than 50, is greater than 50, then close, and then I open the code, I say I'm going to give this person credit 6, then I close quotation, and then I comma, I test another if. Now in this case I'm going to check anyone who gets below 50, and that's to say from 49 to 0, I'm going to give F9. So I'm going to say open, then I say B8 is less than, so here I'm going to use less than operator, then I say from 49 to 0, anything below 49, so up to 0, then I say comma, open quotes, I'm going to give the person F9. I'm going to give the person F9. So I will count and see how many brackets I've opened. So in this case I've opened, let me see how many brackets I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 brackets. So I'm going to close them as 7. If you open a number of brackets you open is the number of brackets that you have to close. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 brackets. So now here let's check our formula again before we command. So we say if B8 is greater than 75, comma, open quotes, this then if this, if this is going to comma this, then so after that I have errors here, so I put here a comma, 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 then I put here a comma, and there we go. So now after that my formula is working, or my function is working. I was just missing a comma. So now you see here 55 is 65. How? Because now when I check here in my function, where did I put C5? It's here. So the C5 means that any B8 is greater than 55 but less than 60 is what? Is C5. So when you check 56, it's between 55 and 60. That's why I have C5. So if I want to get for these other values, you just come and hover, press the cursor on the corner of this angle here, then the cursor will change into a plus, press and hold, then you drag outside the selection to extend the series, and then from there all these other ones will be calculated automatic. So I can see Baraka got distinction 1, Charles got F9, David got D1, and then Jane got F9. So that's how I can get the distinction of different. So here, even if you have a class of 1,000 students, what you do, just add the names. I can add the names, maybe Richard, I can add the name, say Helen, I can add the name Juliet, I can add the name as Kellen, then I give them marks, I give them random marks. So whenever I type the marks, you can see the grade is coming automatic. Sorry, and whenever I add the marks, you see the grade is coming automatic. I can add more, like George, I can say Moses, I can say Chimie, I can say Toto, I can say Sam, I can say like Peter, I can say William. So those are different students, and I can assign them marks randomly: 90, 23, 67, 88, or 85. I say 55. I say 71 or 78. I say 39. So all this is how we can do that. Why am I getting the distinction? I mean the grading automatic is because I have the formula done in the first for the first value or the first mark, and I used what we call the fill handle. I used what we call the drag and the fill other cells or other columns. So now after that, the formula will be used in other cells. That's we're going to learn that when we come to what we call cell referencing and absolute value. So now, what about the remarks? We're going to see how we can give the remarks. Remarks here, like you give the person excellent, very good, good, poor, pull up your socks. So so I'm going to go ahead and type equal sign, and then I start if function. Then I say that open bracket. If I say B8 is greater than 75, comma, I open the quotes. I'm going to give this person excellent. Excellent. Then cos, comma, then I start another if function. I say if B8 is greater than 70, comma, open the quote. I say very good. very good. I say very good, close the bracket, close the quotes. Then I say if, I start another if function. I say open bracket b8 is greater than 65, is greater than 65. Then say comma, open quotes. I say good, open quotes, and say comma. I say if open bracket b8 is greater than, so in this case greater than 60, open quotes. I say fair good, then comma, another if function, open bracket. I say b8 is greater than, so in this case going to be 55, comma, open quotes. I say fair, then close the quotes. Then I open another if, say open bracket and say b8 is greater than 50. Then I say open quotes and say not good. I say, can you give any comment, any remarks? Say not good, maybe tried, try next time, try next time. Then close the quote, comma, start another if function, another if. So open the quotes and say b8 is so in this case now I'm going to say anyone below 50. So I'm going to say open bracket and say if b8 is less than 50, then open quotes. I'm going to say then I say pull up your socks, guy, pull up your socks. I don't know, if you don't know the meaning of pull up your socks, then I think you have never been in such category. But if you have been in such category where you go F9, you could be knowing the meaning of that. So I close the quote, and then from there I need to count and see how many if function I opened. That will represent the number of parentheses or the number of brackets I opened. It have to be corresponding number of brackets I have to close. So in this case I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to close and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So when I'm done, the function I do here is going to test and see if any value that lies within the range is true, then it returns the statement either excellent, very good, good, fair, try next time, or else you can pull up your socks. So I'm going to press enter, and then I'll see the first value is getting fair. Why? Because when you see 56, it's lying in between 56 to 60, and any value that lies between 56 and 60, we shall get the value, we shall give the person a fair. As I said, the other side, I have to do what? I have to click here, drag outside, and then there we go. So the rest of the values will calculate automatic once I expand the selection with the formula. So in this case, I'm done with both the grade and the remarks. and I've been using the f function, and if you want to do any kind of editing, I said the formula or the function will be found in the formula bar. This is the formula bar. Excuse me. This is what we call the formula bar on top of the columns. My drawing is not good. So this is my function in the formula bar. So normally you can go ahead and revisit the function if there's any kind of maybe modification you want to make, and then yeah, you'll do whatever thing you want. So here of course I've seen how to do that, and yeah, I think that is it. I've checked how to do different logical calculations, and you can apply this in different scenarios and you see what do. So thank you for now, guys. I appreciate for your time, and if you have any comment, any question as regard to this video, you can go ahead and comment in the box below. You can also write us a message, or you can subscribe to our channel also, so that you can get all the videos as they come in. Otherwise, I wish you well. Let's catch up in the next video. Thank you very much.